Hello, this is the second of 3 videos on paper training. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up Remark. But before I can do that, I need to show you how to download and install OMScan because we're going to need some of the file paths in order to set up Remark. So I'm going to click on Help, Downloads, and you also may want to download the OMScan user guide. I've already done this, but I'm just going to show you how to do the OMScan app. So I'm going to click on the 2.00 setup.zip. For me, I'm going to open this instead of downloading it to my computer and opening it because I know it's a safe file. You can download it to your computer and unzip it and run it from there. So I'm going to click on Run, Next. Now in this case, if you've an XP user, you can just go ahead and click Next and continue. I've got Windows 7, so I got to go to the user guide, which like I said before, I've already downloaded. And I need to cut and paste in this path. It's C user guide, username, app data, local, virtual store, program, files, Opinionmeter Inc. OMScan. Where the username is your current user that you're logged in as. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to type in my username, which is Russell. And I'm going to copy that and paste it in the app installer and click Next. And then click Next again and wait for it to install. I'm going to close it. Now I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm going to look for the OMScan icon. I'm going to double click it just to make sure it installed correctly, and it has. So now I can open Remark. I'm going to go to New Form Template and click on this link. I'm going to give it a description name, which is going to be the same name that I gave the survey in the first video, which is Paper Sample. I'm going to click Leave It Portrait for my case and click Next. I'm going to require the image from a file, and this image is the PDF file we saved in the first video. So I got to go to Opinionmeter directory. Actually, go to my documents, which is where I have the training folder at. Click on Training. Paper Sample, which is the folder that I named it after the survey I created. And Paper Sample PDF. This is the one we created in the first video. So I install that and click OK. And here's our survey. Notice it's a 2-page survey. Second page is just one question, question 6 with an open-ended, and 5 questions on page 1. So we'll do the first question, and it's a multiple choice question. I'm going to click OMR. I'm going to highlight the bubbles, but this is where the data is going to be. And notice I leave a lot of area around the bubbles and I highlight that. And that's because if the paper gets skewed a little bit, then I can still capture the data. I'm going to region name, I'm going to name it after the question, which is Q1. Data type, I'm going to put in numeric. Row orientation, I've got my responses in a row, so this is the orientation is column. And there are 2 rows in 1 column. And then possible scale labels is 1 to 2. It's always going to be 1 to whatever number of responses you have. Then I got to click on Region Item Properties, and for multiple choice, we replace with, I choose MULT, and then click OK. So now we're going to do the multiple choice horizontal question, which is Q2. I click on OMR again. I highlight the data area. I type in Q2. I do numeric. And this is row oriented since all the responses are in columns here. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns and one row. And I do 1 to 7, region item properties, replace with MULT, and click OK. Now if you notice here, had I made this a little bit bigger area, it turns red. And if you leave your cursor here, you'll read that at the top border of the region is touching marks. Please make the appropriate adjustments. So you may have to adjust these if you see any red. And it usually tells you what's happening. So you always want to make sure you don't capture any other marks or text around the bubbles. And if it's green, then you're fine. So for the choose all to apply questions, again, I'm going to click on OMR. I'm going to highlight the data area. And this is Q3. Numeric. And again, this is column oriented. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. I choose 1 to 5. Region item, and in this case, for multiple responses, I'm going to allow all. This makes it a choose all that apply, and click OK. So that's the difference between choose all that apply and multiple choice. Is how you choose the. I'm not going to show you again. The multiple exception handling. One, for choose all that apply, you do multiple responses. For multiple choice, you do replace with, and you put in MULT. So let's do the next one. This is choose all to apply horizontal. And this is Q4. Numeric. And this is row oriented, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. Labels are 1 to 5. Region item properties. For multiple, I choose all, I do allow all. Click OK, and we're set for the choose all. Now we have a matrix multiple choice question here. So again, I'm going to click OMR. I'm going to highlight the data area. And notice here that the responses are in columns, so this is going to be row oriented. So I'm going to put Q5. I'm going to put in numeric row, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rows and 4 columns. And my labels are going to be 1 to 4. Region item property, since this is a multiple choice, I change this to MULT and click OK. So that takes care of the first page. Now we go to page 2. And also you may want to make sure that this is in order: Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5. Sometimes you might see Q1, Q3, Q4, Q2, Q5. I've had some people get this out of order. So you always want to make sure that these stay in order, or when you run your scan, it's going to cause issues. Now you'll notice on page 2 we only have one question, which is a open-ended question. So I'm going to use the image, and I'm just going to go right inside the text box here to capture whatever they write inside the text box. And region name, this is going to be Q6. Data entry is going to be an image clip. And I'm going to leave this checked where it's going to attempt to detect the presence of handwriting. If it doesn't detect the presence of handwriting, it's not going to save the image clip, and that'll save me some space. Target directory, this is one of the target directories I'm going to have to change. I'm going to have to go up to users, Russell, app data, local. Virtual store, program files, Opinionmeter Inc., OMScan, data store, and click on upload. That's where we're going to store our image clips. Make sure this is JPEG, and always begin the file names with the same number as the Q number, which is Q6 in this case. And then I click OK. So now we've done we set up our Remark for the data capture. So I'm going to save the file now. Do a file, save as. I'm going to save it in the same folder that I pulled the PDF from. And it's right in the same folder of my training, my doctor paper. So I can give this a name. I'm going to give it the same name as this survey, which is paper sample. And now I can close this. The next step I have to do is I have to create an automation wizard so we can run Remark from OMScan, and that's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to click on Tools, click on Automation Wizard. I'm going to click on Automatically Exit After Completing Execution. Click on Save, or click on Next, excuse me. And then I'm going to click the form template, and this is the one we just created, so I need to browse to that directory. And we're in that directory, paper sample, and there's the OMR file we just created. That's the ones we want to use when the automation wizard starts up. And then we want to save the data file on exit. So we're going to click these three buttons to browse. And it looks like we're already in the right folder, so I go back to Program Files. And if you weren't, you're going to have to go to Users, Username, Local Virtual Store, and so forth to get to. In this case, we're going to call it Data folder. Make sure that this is Data, and then we're going to give it a name Data, and then we're going to use ASC or ASCII comma. And you have to scroll down until you find ASCII comma. And then unclick Save Headers, and then click OK, and then uncheck Override Existing Data, and click Next, and then click Next again, because you're going to be reading these files from image. So you want to remove and delete this directory and add another directory. And again, I'm going to go back to Russell, App Data, Local, Virtual Store, Program Files, Opinionmeter Inc., OMScan, Data Store, and Upload, and click OK. So for XP users, you also would be just doing C user, or you'd be just doing C Program Files, Opinionmeter Inc., OMScan, Data Store, and Upload. So always when you install your OMScan app, make sure you want to copy down the path so you can use it later when you set up Remark. And I'm going to be setting the filter, which is going to be a PDF, is the file I'm going to be running my surveys on and filling them out and scanning and saving. Then I'm going to click Next. Review exceptions. We're going to check multiple responses, OMI recognition errors, repeated rank responses, and required items. And now we can save. We're going to save it back in the paper sample folder, and this is going to be a type of .rez or .res file, and I'm going to give it the same name as I did the surveys before. This is where my OMR file is, so it's in the same directory. It's paper sample, and I just click Save, and I'm done. So now I just close this. I can close the file. And this is the end of this video. So now the third video we'll be covering how to do OM scan. Thank you.